Emily Kunzman, MD, and today we are talking about triglycerides. So what are triglycerides? Well, they're actually an ester, and they are derived from glycerol and 3 fatty acids that are attached to them, so hence the word tri. And they are the main constituents in some of the body fat in humans and animals, and we can actually find it in vegetable fats. So they are present in the blood, and they are to enable the bidirectional transfer of adipose fat and blood glucose from the liver. So again, we have a fat and a water-soluble glucose that needs to get transported in and out of the liver. And it is also something that we find in our skin oils as well. So eating a diet that is very high in carbohydrates can raise your triglycerides because those fats are carried in the bloodstream in those packages of 3, and then they will store in those fat cells at times of excess. So overeating the carbohydrates leading to excess will store in the fat cell. And I think a lot of us realize that there is a contribution of high triglycerides to heart disease, but more so strokes. So the triglycerides in a healthy capacity would be to store unused calories and then pull them out at a time when your body may not be eating or might be in a fasting state. Now there is a difference between those triglycerides, those packages of 3, and cholesterol itself. Cholesterol is actually used to build cells in certain hormones, and the triglycerides, again, are simply just to store unused calories. So we're not exactly sure how high triglycerides may contribute exactly to the hardening of the arteries, but there's some postulates that the cholesterol isn't the real issue because it's fluffy and it is buoyant, but because of the hybrid nature of somewhat water-soluble, somewhat fat-soluble, we have a little bit of stickiness of those triglycerides as they are making their way through the arteries. So those high levels can not only increase the risk of heart disease and stroke, but there's also another somewhat catastrophic effect of very high triglycerides, and that is inflammation of the pancreas, or what we call pancreatitis. So what are some of the things that contribute to high triglycerides? Well, the biggest one is over-ingestion of calories, over-ingestion of the carbohydrate family. But there are also some side effect profiles of certain medications that we may be on that also may be throwing some of the excess triglycerides into the bloodstream. And one of them is diuretics. Another are retinoids. Some are steroids, and steroids will elevate the sugars, which will compound and create some of the triglycerides. Estrogen and the synthetic progestins may do that. Some of our immunosuppressants may contribute to that. And there are actually some of the HIV medications that really significantly compound those elevated high triglycerides. So, all is not lost. We can do something about this, and prevention is the key. So, we would optimally like to exercise regularly, and on a lot of the literature, it talks about at least 30 minutes a day, 7 days a week for some good cardiovascular walking or jogging or things that can help burn calories. But I will say the human body needs at least an hour per day to be optimal. Obviously, avoid the refined sugars and the refined simple carbohydrates such as sugars, things made with white flour or fructose, because those will inevitably contribute to high triglycerides. Clearly, we would like to lose weight. So even if you have a mild hypertriglyceridemia, still you would like to focus on cutting the calories because we don't want those extra calories to store in our fat tissues. A word about choosing healthier fats. So some of the saturated fats that are found in some of the better cuts of meat or olive may be better than certainly some of the canola oils which have been synthesized. And if you have the option and the tolerance, you certainly would want to swap out some of the red meats for some of the fishes that are obviously higher in omega-3 fatty acids, which are protective to our arterial system. Avoid the trans fatty acids and the foods with what we call hydrogenated oils, or what I will just say are chemically synthesized in the lab. Now, limit how much alcohol you drink because alcohol is a pseudo sugar. And of course, the body will view that as excess calories. So if you don't need to drink any alcohol, don't drink any alcohol. So there are some treatment strategies, and I will start with some of the medications that we have consistently heard about. One of the biggest ones are statins. And again, I'm not a huge statin fan for preventive measures. So if there is already a blocked artery or known manifested disease, there may be a role for a statin. And of course it can lower cholesterol and it may help to a degree with triglycerides, but it is in an effort to quiet down some of that inflammatory debris that is in the arterial system. So we also have fibrates, and some of the common trade names for that are Tricor and Phenoglide and Gemfibrozil, and they can help to lower cholesterol too, but they must be used cautiously if you have kidney or liver disease. Fish oils are some of my favorite if you can tolerate that. And of course, there is a pharmaceutical grade which is called Lovaza, but long before Lovaza was made, there are some very good sources such as Norwegian salmon, such as the krill oils. Even some of the smaller fishes such as mackerel and cod do not have a life cycle long enough to pick up the mercury, so they also can be good sources of fish oils. Niacin, that has been around for a very long time, and that is in one of our B vitamins, and it can also alter the ratio of improving the good cholesterol in addition to helping with the triglycerides. So that may work nicely. Then we have some of our easier strategies that are non-medication based. This would be eat more fiber. Avoid the trans fats, which we talked about, which are not only synthetic, but then when you use them in the frying process, they break down and become rancid. Soy protein and nuts are also very wonderful to help with triglycerides. And then we have some herbal strategies, and this is not an all-inclusive list, but we can use fenugreek, we can use garlic or garlic extract. There are such things such as Google lipids that may help. Curcumin, which is the active ingredient found in turmeric, which is heavily used in the Asian spices, is doing a dramatic improvement in lowering triglyceride levels. Then as far as the arterial health, not necessarily lowering the triglycerides, is L-arginine and improving nitrous oxide. Now, for those of you who have supplements with psyllium, psyllium is actually derived from husks, which will improve the fibrous nature of binding the triglycerides to eliminate them. Then there is the natural statin called red yeast rice, and we have artichoke leaf. So there you have it, folks. This is the quick and easy topic of triglycerides. Please subscribe to my channel below, and if you have any questions, I will certainly get back to you. Again, Natalie Kunzman, MD, And until we meet again, be well.